cactus and succulent growers, it's Lynn. And in today's video, this is a video request by Geranium Power here on YouTube. And what a fantastic name, Geranium Power. And she wanted to know if I had any Euphorbia obesas and if I could show them in a future video. So yes, I do have quite a few Euphorbia obesas and some other type of the hybrids as well. So I wanted to do a little short video on the collection because I don't often show these in my cactus and succulent polytunnel updates, because these are actually in my kitchen window, which is a south facing window, and that's where I have a lot of my smaller growing euphorbias. They get plenty of sun there. But I've took them out today into the little polytunnel here because it's easier for me to film, because as I mentioned, they're all in the kitchen window, a bit difficult to show them off at their glory with the camera trying to reach in there. So I've got a group of them here, and first of all I'm going to talk about the history about my Euphorbia obesas here. Now these three here, as you can see, all very different sizes. And these are extremely old, and I'm just going to pull these away so you can see a bit better here. These are possibly nearly 30 years old, and I actually bought them all at the same time from a lovely garden centre when I lived in England. I went to Chester for the day and visited there, and there's a little garden centre just outside that sold these amazing Euphorbia obesas, and I'd never seen anything like it at the time. I was in my very early 20s and I thought, wow, what is this? You know, this is obviously some type of succulent. And the lady at the garden shop said, oh, you know, it's Euphorbia obesa, and I remember writing it down. And as I say, these are very old, and they're all at very different sizes. As you can see, this is the largest one. And they're also these pots that have actually got them in as well were actually from that same garden centre. I can't remember the name of that garden centre in Chester. It was a very long time ago, as I mentioned, but they were lovely square pots. I didn't pot them up in these at the time. I had them in smaller pots. They were literally really small, like little tiny 5 centimetre pots, and very small Euphorbia obesas, probably the size of sort of about, I'm trying to find, yeah, about that size there in the little pot. So they have grown a lot over the years, and as I said, they started off more globular. They were like balls, and as they've grown, they grow more columnar as they age. And all this scabbiness on here, it's not that the plant is sick. This is what they do when they age. They form this sort of brown corky scabbing, and quite wacky really. And that's show you all the top, all the new growth. It's been flowering as well. Euphorbias produce these little tiny flowers at the top, which is absolutely amazing. There's a little tiny flower there, you might be able to see. And beautiful. So that's my Euphorbia obesas that are at least 28, 29 years. I don't know exactly, but must be nearly 30 years anyway. And then here I have Euphorbia globosa. And this is one that I've had probably for about 7 years now, so not as long as the other ones. And the globosa is similar to the Euphorbia obesa, but the globosa has more sort of stretchy out columnar type of body to it. As I say, these are growing columnar because they're older, and the obesa will grow columnar as it ages, but the globosa is more that shape when it's much younger, and it also forms lots and lots of little clumps of pups, if you can call it that, growing from the top. As you can see, quite different in appearance to the normal obesa, which is more singular. And here is another Euphorbia globosa here as well. That's another one I've got there. And here is another Euphorbia globosa as well. And this is also a recent addition that I got probably about 2 years ago from my wonderful friend Magda here on YouTube. And it's growing very, very well, as you can see. So possibly about 3 years old, this one. Now obviously it'd be older than that, but how long I've had it for. And this Euphorbia globosa is also probably about the same. And then here I've got Euphorbia Melaformis. Now the reason why I'm including this with Euphorbia obesas is because it's similar in appearance. And the difference with this one is obviously the thorns, and they're thorns rather than spines. The thorns are very long and papery. With the normal Euphorbia globosa, it doesn't have any thorns at all, as you can see here. It's very different. It has the sort of lovely sort of almost like a stitching going all along it. But with the Melaformis, it has papery thorns here. They're not sharp. Very wacky. Lovely, lovely Euphorbia. And gorgeous, as you can see there, growing from the top. Lovely, beautiful one. And this also flowers quite regularly for me as well. And this one I've had possibly for about 7 years, 8 years. It's one that I got from my friend Michael Harrington when he was selling plants when I lived in the south of Ireland. So that's a lovely beauty too. And I wanted to finish off by showing you the cutest of them all, from the largest to the smallest. Now these are seedlings of Euphorbia obesa crossed with symmetrica. And I sowed these seeds quite a few months ago now. I can't remember exactly. I have got it wrote down somewhere. I think it might have been March, April. It was in the springtime anyway. And these were seeds that Hans, my partner, he won in an awesome photo competition from Daz at Cacti Mania here on YouTube. And Hans was really thrilled to win. He won some awesome seeds from Daz. And obviously I ended up sowing them for Hans because I just love sowing seeds. And Daz, these are actually Daz's own cross pollinations from his own Euphorbia obesa and his symmetrica plant, and these were the seeds, and this is the result. Look at them, guys, as they're just a few months old, probably about 4 to 5 months old, and they are absolutely gorgeous. I'll just turn them around so you can see. They're starting to get the little markings on them as well. They're absolutely gorgeous. And these are grown a little bit more stretched out there, but there'll be no problem. A lot of these started to grow like that, and then they sort of go more globular and press themselves down into the soil. So these are going to be potted up into their own little individual pots, possibly early next spring, but they're doing very well. And what's amazing, I'm still having seeds germinate now. That's another one that germinated only a few weeks ago. And very happy. So these just a few months, possibly 4 or 5 months maximum there. So from the ones that are nearly 30 years old to the ones that are a few months old, that's my collection, guys. So a little bit briefly how I care for these. I will keep these dry with no watering in the winter time, and I'll probably stop watering these possibly from about now up until April time. They're in the house, so they are kept. They're not kept cold, and as I say, Euphorbia, particularly obesa as well, do like a minimum winter temperature of 10 Celsius, 50 degrees Fahrenheit, which is why I keep these indoors all year round on my south-facing kitchen window. Well draining cactus and succulent soil, because they don't like to stay wet for long. And even when I'm watering them regularly in the spring and summer, I always make sure the soil is totally dried out before I water again. And I often go a little bit longer in between waterings with these as well, because they're very succulent. They certainly wouldn't need as much regular watering as an Echeveria would, for example. And pests, they're fairly pest free. I don't really have a problem with these. Sometimes you might see the odd mealybug coming at the top here, usually when they're coming into their flowering, and you know, even spider mites. But I have to say, mine are pretty pest free. They don't seem to like euphorbias as much as other type of plants. Mealybugs can be a little bit choosy, even spider mites. So that's pretty much it. A bit of fertilising. I'll fertilise with a week strength tomato feed once every sort of 6 weeks during the spring and summer, and that helps to encourage the little flowers there. And as I say, do give them plenty of sunshine and a dry winter rest. I'm still going to be watering these over the winter, because obviously they're still seedlings, so be lightly watering them. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. For lots more tips and tricks, don't forget to subscribe. Do click that notification bell. You can also follow me on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook at Desert Plants of Avalon. And don't forget to check my website out, desertplantsofavalon.com. And thank you, Geranium Power, for the video request. I want to wish you all a fantastic, succulent powered day.